A thread by Carlos Osuita. Let's talk about what we know the feds have already done to deal with CHAZ. And remember, when Donald Trump says, I will do X, it means he already has. From Breitbart.com, Seattle Police Chief, cops not able to respond to rapes, robberies due to autonomous zone. Innocent Americans are being victimized by urban terrorists. Everything they're doing is illegal. We know that Black Lives Matter and Antifa and everybody else are heavily infiltrated by the feds. So a response for this scenario was prepared long ago. All you have to do is look to the Battle of Mosul. The Islamic State had over 1 million human shields. They built a massive underground system of tunnels and shelters. They built concrete fighting posts. They destroyed streets, and they razed entire city blocks. They had many hundreds of armored car and truck bombs, as well as heavy weapons such as machine guns, mortars, rocket-propelled grenades, and anti-tank guided missiles. And they booby-trapped everything. Military operations on urban terrain, MOUT, is absolutely deadly. But the Iraqis, with outside help, won without killing the whole city. They freed almost all of the human shields. All the damage you saw was inflicted by the Islamic State. How did the Iraqis win? Infiltration and digital mapping. A three-dimensional model of every building in Mosul, inside and out, was built. Drones using synthetic aperture radar, SAR, do a lot of it, and infiltrators with nanodrones do the rest. They have flying cameras the size of insects that go through a building in seconds. The cameras film at massively high speeds, 1 million frames per second, and they use fisheye lenses to get the entire inside of the room. All of the imagery is corrected using classified processes, and you're left with a perfect 3D map of every structure in the city. And all the people are marked and locked into the map. They're each given a number. CHAZ is a few blocks, so it's all been mapped. And every one has been marked. If the feds go in, it won't be to kill anyone or destroy fighting positions. Everyone who goes in has that digital map in some form of device, probably strapped to the wrist. Each member of the assault team is given a number and a dot. And when you look at the map, here's what you see. Dots with one color and numbers, friendlies. Dots with another color and numbers, armed tangos. Dots with another color and numbers, unarmed idiots. Dots with another color and numbers, residents. The rescue team is already in place. They obviously won't tell anyone in the Seattle government or police department. If the feds go in, they'll tell the cops right at the moment it starts. Knowing Trump, he'll tell the governor, but I myself wouldn't. Some Seattle cops are working with the feds, no doubt. But the feds had a plan after the Battle of Mosul, which ended July 20th, 2017, 3 years ago. Leftists don't read any worthwhile news, so they're in the dark. Trump has tons of tricks up his sleeve. I know what some of them are, but I won't tell you. Again, these idiots tried this when Trump had invoked the Stafford Act. They don't even know what it is. Section 102 of the Stafford Act, emergency means any occasion or instance in which, in the determination of the president, federal assistance is needed to supplement state and local efforts and capabilities to save lives and to protect property and public health and safety, or to lessen or avert the threat of catastrophe in any part of the United States. Guess what? Here is what Congress determined. The Posse Comitatus Act has served the nation well in limiting the use of the armed forces to enforce the law. Nevertheless, by its express terms, the Posse Comitatus Act is not a complete barrier to the use of the armed forces for a range of domestic purposes, including law enforcement functions, when the use of the armed forces is authorized by act of Congress or the president determines that the use of armed forces is required to fulfill the president's obligations under the Constitution to respond promptly in time of war, insurrection, or other serious emergency. The Posse Comitatus Act prevents the president from using the regular armed forces to enforce the law, except when the president invokes the Stafford Act. How many Democratic governors know this? Obviously, Jay Inslee of Washington State doesn't. So the country may just see what Trump could do if he actually decided to become a dictator. I'd bet my house that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't know a thing about the Stafford Act. Knowledge is power. This is why I keep telling everyone to keep calm. The Insurrection Act is nothing compared to the Stafford Act. If Trump invoked the Insurrection Act, you'd all lose your freedoms. It makes no distinction between criminals and the law abiding. The Stafford Act is surgical. How many of you knew this? So be careful what you asked for. You might just get it. Obama would have invoked the Insurrection Act. People like Susan Rice would have demanded it. Trump cherishes freedom. Trust him for once. It won't kill you, for God's sake.